Hi guys, thank you for joining me again today. I know that pay is a big deal for many people, and so I'd like to give some insight into how my pay changed by moving from the UK to the US as a registered nurse. In order for me to get sponsorship um, for a green card by an employer that was recruiting internationally, I was required to have recent hospital experience. I had been working away from the bedside for a few years as a band 7 nurse in health visiting. And so I went back to the bedside and started working in ICU. And I had to go back down to a band 5 from a band 7. I didn't actually experience a pay loss by doing that because I was put at the top of band 5, which was the equivalent of the first few um, points of a band 7. So it's pitiful, but I was making about £16 per hour as a nurse in the UK. When I arrived in the US, I was making more than double that per hour immediately. And this is while the employer who was sponsoring my green card was actually making more than I was making per hour from my contract. And how I came about this information was I had gone for an annual review with the person who was my manager on the unit that I was contracted to work for about 2 years and 8 months. And she opened my file, and I don't think she realized what she was doing. I was able to see how much the agency was making per hour for me working there. So from the hourly rate that they were charging the hospital, I was making slightly less than half of that, which when I first saw it, I was shocked. I was really shocked. I couldn't believe it. I thought maybe they were making something like $10 per hour from my contract, but they were making more than I was making per hour. I chose not to let that upset me because I looked at the bigger picture. I was aware of how difficult it is for many people dealing with fixing their immigration status. So, with my green card sponsorship, I arrived in the US as a permanent resident, and so did the rest of my family. So, that to me was invaluable. Just knowing that I never had to worry about my immigration status. It was paid for. Well, I was paying for it with that contract because for every dollar I made, they made the same and a little bit more. So I chose to say, okay, this is my dues for this green card. And I get to start a new life. I get to start something new for myself. So I did my contract and I finished it. And once I finished my contract, I was free to work wherever I wanted and for whoever I wanted.